I'm Professor Peter Robert Hobson. I'm a professor at Brunel University, and our Royal Society exhibit is Understanding the Higgs Boson. That's quite a tricky question because it's a long time ago, but both my parents were scientists and at Edinburgh University, and therefore probably I met a fairly wide range of other scientists, including Peter Higgs, who I've known since I was about 6 months old. And I had very good friends of my parents who I used to spend summer with, and their father was a scientist at CERN. I think it depends what age you are, in a sense, in where you are in your career. I mean, for me, a great deal of being a scientist is trying to help other scientists in my group and elsewhere forward their careers. But still, I manage occasionally to get into the laboratory, and that's probably one of the best bits, where you actually get your hands on equipment. You make measurements, and from interpreting those measurements, you make discoveries. I'm fairly certain I still wanted to be an academic, because in some sense that's almost the only life I ever knew as growing up. I think I'd quite like to be a field botanist at either the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh or the Royal Botanical Gardens, Kew. Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd have discovered it and be rich and famous. I think that's very difficult. I probably think that really understanding how the mind works, either in any sort of animal, but particularly how a very evolved brain, such as we have in human beings, in a sense, how is it that going from very simple individual but very large numbers of objects, neurons and the interconnections, how do we actually get things like memory and soul and thought processes and philosophy and music and art? It seems to me quite extraordinary. For an invention, I sort of hope that within my lifetime, but it's always ever been sort of 10 or 20 years further on, that we actually do see real, reliable, as it were, commercially viable nuclear fusion for generation of power. I think that would be an astounding and kind of world-changing invention to the benefit of all mankind. I'll answer that question slightly obliquely by saying how it was I came to choose to do physics at university. And I did that by eliminating the other things I liked and was passionately fond of, but which I felt I could continue in a sense as an amateur. So I did consider going to university to do architecture, botany, English literature, and fine art. So probably any one of those, if anyone was prepared to indulge me, I'd be more than happy to take on as a career. Plus I could do them when I retire.